Welcome to the panel where we get an opportunity to discuss Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. Give a round of applause for the incredible film that we just watched. And so I am joined today by people both behind the scenes and in front of the scenes for Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. And I want to take the opportunity to introduce everyone to you. So first, I want to introduce you to Reverend Lennox Yearwood, who is the founder and CEO of Hip Hop Caucus. I'm also joined by Antonique Smith, who is a Grammy-nominated singer, actress, and activist. And we are also joined by Malik Jordan, who is a social activist and poet from Norfolk, Virginia, who mainly speaks about gentrification in his community. And lastly, but not least, we have Elijah Karriem, who was born and raised in the heart of Brooklyn, New York. And he has spent his early life studying music and martial arts and began learning film production as a teenager, working as a production assistant on independent films shot in New York. He is also the director of Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. So thank you all. Thank you so much for joining us. It's so wonderful to have you today. And before I get into it, I want to actually have an opportunity to ask each of you, what brought you to Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave? So we'll go around. I'd like to actually start with Malik, and then I'll go ahead and let you know who's next.
That means I'm going last. I mean, they go, Malik is the youngest, Antonique is the prettiest. Elijah's the director. I mean, I can just sit down for a while. You know what I mean? That's what you're saying here.
So I'm glad to know Rev claimed his place already. So we know Rev's gonna go last, but then we'll go ahead, just so you're prepared with your comments. You could go ahead and start thinking about it. We'll go Malik, then Antonique, then Elijah, and then Reverend Yearwood. All right, so go ahead and tell us what brought you to Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave, Malik.
So what brought me to Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave? I'm a part of an organization, Teens with a Purpose. I've been a part of that organization since I was 11 years old. I am currently 21 years old, so about a 10-year relationship and with them and that organization. And they are partnering with Hip Hop Caucus before, and Mama D was just like, yeah, they're doing this film and it's about all the things that we already talk about, Malik. I think you should get involved and see. And then they came to me and they wanted to interview me. And I had a poem about all the things that was going on that's being talked about in the film. So it just kind of connected in that way. And it was pretty dope. The cast and the comedians was amazing. The people behind the cameras, what would that be called? I'm sorry, I'm nervous. But yeah, Teams with Purpose connected me with them, and I'm just glad to be a part of it.
Thank you, Malik. So let's go. Well, Elijah, did you come off mute? Go ahead, Elijah.
Oh no, I was just trying to keep my mic muted to just respect whoever had the mic.
Okay, sounds good. All right, so Antonique, are you ready? Tell us what brought you to Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave.
Sure. Well, hi. So wonderful to be here with all of you. I've been doing some great work with my brother Reverend Yearwood here. And yes, in the Hip Hop Caucus since like 2014. So, over the years, we've been, looking for things to do to get to the people by any means, in all means. And so this was just another project that I've been blessed to work on with them. And it's one of many more. So that's what brought me to Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. And I'm honored to be an executive producer on it. Yes.
All right. Thank you so much, Antonique. So glad to have you. Elijah, what brought you to Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave?
Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. Man, that's a interesting series of events. But I started working with the Hip Hop Caucus specifically on the Think 100 podcast and doing the video coverage on that and just setting up the video representation of the show that's been going on for quite some time. And I just had the privilege of working with Rev and Antonique and just, you know, helping to bring the visual aspect to life. And yeah, the team offered me the role to basically make the comedy stand-up special come to life. And I just, you know, just threw everything I had at it. And yeah, it wouldn't have been possible without the crew that we had from all across the country. They're not on this thread right now, but yeah, we had a very talented team that helped us pull it off.
So that's interesting. I didn't know that was your pathway to get here. So and you definitely brought it to life, and we're so glad that you were behind the camera, bringing forth all those voices that are so critical and important at this time. So Reverend Yearwood, please round us out with what brought you to this moment with Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave.
Oh, that's easy. I mean, I love Black people, and I love them to death. And so I want to see my people survive. So I believe in FUBA, for us, by us. And what you see here right now is amazing. Seeing a Black woman, executive producer, a Black director, an amazing Black poet, activist, you, Nakisa, running an activist. It's just Black people helping Black people. And that's what we got to do, because climate change is real. And we're not waiting for no Superman or Superwoman to help us. We got to make sure to help ourselves. And so this film is about that. We've cried so much, and we tired of crying, to be honest. We tired of waiting, we tired of crying, and it's about change. And so, you know, we cried. For folks who know why we cried when we see our children freezing to death in Texas. We cried when our folks was getting paper towels thrown at them after Hurricane Maria. We cried when folks after Superstorm Sandy. We cried when they had people who were in the prisons only getting $1, putting out the firestorms in California. We cried when folks drowned in Harvey. We cried when folks drowned with Katrina. So it's about time for us to laugh. And sometimes you got to laugh to get through your pain. And so Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave was about that. So this is keeping it 100. I mean, this was something about for us to reach us. And too many times we know that, you know, inconvenient truth is about climate crisis, but also inconvenient truth is also about white supremacy. And so the reality of this is us coming together so that we can show people that Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave is much bigger than that. And we are so excited because this film can reach Black, Brown, Indigenous. To be honest, can reach everybody. We be clear. It's not about even Black and Brown and Indigenous and people of color, because we want everybody, white, we want everybody to be a part of this movement. But for so long, it hasn't looked like this, which you see on the screen right now. And that's a problem, because if we're the ones first and worst hit by climate change, then we should be the ones first trying to talk about climate change. And so I'm just grateful to have an EP like Antonique Smith, who uses her skill from singing and art. I'm so grateful for Elijah to think about, you know, the idea of how we can use comedy. People like Malik and others. And all the comics in this. You were laughing, but I mean, it was a whole process to get us here. So that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm going to stay.
Mic drop.
Exactly. All right. So I want to point this next question towards Reverend Yearwood and Elijah. What is the thread that connects this film, climate justice, and racial justice? What is that thread for you all?
Go ahead, Elijah.
Go first. Okay. Can you repeat that one more time?
Happy to. I want you to tell me more about the thread that connects this film, climate justice, and racial justice.
Climate justice and racial justice are more intertwined than what we realize. And Rev actually hit it directly on the head. It's like we hit the first and worst. And like, it's even been like American policy. Like you've heard of, what is it? Redlining, red zoning, where they have basically like in the 30s and 40s and 50s, there was basically an American real estate boom, and low income red zoned areas, basically like, you know, where Black people or Hispanics would end up going, but mostly Black people, also had also had zoning adjacent for like things like landfills or unfriendly or NIMBY objects in and around their homes, and that would drive the values down. And then when someone, a person of color, would also try to get even a mortgage in another area, they will be outright denied, or there'll be some like, kind of, excuse my French, but BS reason for them not to be able to even complete the applications to get a better home, to provide a better life. So like the climate conversation, and racial injustice is kind of like, so intertwined. It's like that's a discussion that needs to happen. With this film in particular, we are aware of the inconvenient truth. We are aware of the messaging of like, global warming and all these different like critical things. There was an article just a couple of weeks ago I was reading about a piece of ice the size of Manhattan that came off the Antarctic, and that was this year in 2021. But it's like we're so flooded with so many different things. Being black, a black man in America, a black woman in America is a whole other different universe. Being a woman in America, any color, like all of these are different issues where like, hey, the number one issue is our planet is, being severely affected overall. And we have to take a conscious effort to help preserve it. This is the only home we have, I was looking at lately, I've been heavily into like just studying like how does America work on like a big level, like why when oil futures drop in price, instead of us trying to buy more eco-friendly cars, car sales for things like a Dodge Challenger, it's a great car, but it's a gas guzzler. So why are things like that going up when oil prices are receding? We're not thinking about our environment long term. We're just thinking about like leisure and things like that. And like one thing that does happen in our community, we're so wrapped up in the pain that we, consume before we plan out like our plan to make things better or invest in a better future. And the importance of this film is like, all right, the messaging is there, but when you give someone such a serious message, you need sometimes like a different approach or like a back door to help reignite that conversation. Because a lot of people of color are aware of the environment being messed up, but we kind of feel powerless to know exactly what to do with it. And comedy has been like that great outlet to like help convert like our deepest, darkest issues that are painful and turn it around, literally turn lemons into lemonade. And that's consistent with every single great comedian and the comedians that are in this film: Clark, Amina, Kristen, Mamadou. Like they all like took their time out to really consciously think about like these pain points and highlight that irony there, and that makes us laugh because it's like there are like certain things that people who are on the forefront of the climate justice movement, they're disconnected from the same very people that are most impacted, and we have to start somewhere. And to me, this felt like, all right, this is the first perfect place to start, and like an ongoing like lifelong conversation. It's kind of like when you're teaching kids, you don't want them to just think of things in like one instance. You want them to think of things like in a duration. And like I think we need to start thinking of like climate as like, all right, this is an investment process, a lifelong investment process to save our only home, because Elon Musk's rockets aren't going to get us to Mars en masse. Sorry,
They might. You never know. I know you never.
Ain't nothing up there though.
Ain't nothing up there.
Ain't nothing up there.
I mean,
every other week one of them crashes.
Beautiful, wonderful world. We here.
I mean, I think Elijah is right. I just want to just say a few things to that to be very, very clear. Is that the climate crisis is real. We understand that, and we wanted to go to Norfolk because Norfolk is literally ground zero for the climate crisis. It literally, as they say out in Norfolk, it says it floods when it's sunny outside. And for me, actually having witnessed from my family and friends going through Hurricane Katrina and seeing from that process, poor people and Black people drowning in the richest country in the world, I realized it was critical for us to be in a position where we need to bring this front and center. But I also want to say this, the idea of this film, I think what Elijah is saying is very important, is that we're human. Let's not miss that point. I think that sometimes within the climate movement, we sometimes want to disconnect our humanness, so to speak, with our reality. And one thing that Black people do very well, they don't disconnect their struggle. So even when we're going through pain, when we were in slavery, we use religion that wasn't even our religion to begin with in some cases to have us a roadmap to freedom. We have used that throughout time from a womanist standpoint, from our LGBTQI standpoint, from our Black movement and Black power standpoint. Even when we think about it, even when we've had state-sponsored violence against us, we still rose up and used our human, our jazz, our music. Antonique would sing, hold up, wait a minute. I mean, it would be something so powerful. We would use that to overcome. But it's also very important. The thing that's important about this film, I need you to understand, is that this film, I'm gonna keep repeating it, you're looking at a face of all Black people, a Black director, a Black crew, a Black EP, Black poets, Black comedians, and a Black community on the front line of the climate crisis. That does not happen without the Hip Hop Caucus and all the folks who invested and want to be a part of this movement. Storytelling is critical. And we just want to use this film so that we can create, there should be dramas created, more movies created, there should be records created. We need to invest in Black and brown and indigenous people in the cultural space. And I mean invest. I ain't about no nickels and dimes. Fund me like you want me to win kind of investment. I'm talking about let's invest to have more directors, more singers, so we can have this kind of film to change the world.
Wow, that is incredibly powerful. I want to get Malik and Antonique into the conversation. Malik, when you did your introduction, you told us that you wrote the poem. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that process was like for you? And y'all, like this time has flown by so quickly, so we're gonna have to make sure that we keep an eye on the time. We only got about 5 minutes left for this panel. I definitely want to get Malik's voice and Antonique's voice here as well. So tell us about that process for you, Malik.
So as an artivist, that's what my shirt says, artivist. Like I was saying earlier, I people watch and I just sit back and look at the world and what's going on and everything around me. And I was like, it's crazy. Like it's flooding right here in my neighborhood, like flooding bad. Like if you drive your car, it'll get stuck in the road. And then literally 2 blocks down the street, there, it doesn't flood. And I'm like, why can't we just move that and change that to make sure this area doesn't flood too, so nobody's underwater. So I wrote the poem saying like, I see what's going on. And I was younger then when I wrote the poem, I was seeing it, I'm like, wow, I can really see that it is a difference. Like the redlining, how Elijah brought it up. I was reading about Norfolk's history. Norfolk red lines a lot. It's literally curves, and I just wanted to show people that this is happening and the youth are seeing this, and we have to change, because I don't want our kids to be able to have to like learn, like it's a must. You got to learn how to swim, because if you don't, guess what? You're gonna drown, because the way we live. And currently in Norfolk right now, they're tearing down all the low income housing and building new ones. And where they're building new ones, the flooding is even worse. So like right down the street from my house currently, it's projects, and they're building it right next to water, and it literally floods. We can get 2 inches of rain, 3 inches of rain, and it floods. And I saw it and I'm seeing it. So I wanted to speak on it, and I'm glad I can and share my message with the world.
Thank you, Malik. And you said a word that I've heard Antonique say before, artivist. And so I want to hear Antonique tell us a little bit more about what that means to you. And then also, what is the role of celebrities as well? So give us some insight in regards to artivists for you.
First of all, Malik, I need to borrow that shirt. Uh, very dope. But yeah, artivism is literally just using your art to further a movement, whether it's, it's any kind of social injustice. And so my first, major act of artivism was working with the Hip Hop Caucus back in 2014 on the first album for climate change called Heal Our Mother Earth Home, which was amazing. And so, yeah, so really artivism is just using your gifts, using your art, whether it's me, it's just singing, but for Malik, it's poetry. For Elijah, it's directing. For Rev, it's out there speaking and touching people's hearts. For the comedians, it's doing our movie, doing the show. That's what artivism is. It's using whatever your gift is and speaking about something that you're passionate about to further change. And so, I mean, just they touched on all the points of how it's our communities that are dying. Our communities are the sacrifice zones where they don't care that they're dumping pollution. The pollution, we hear like Elijah was saying, the Rev was saying, we hear a lot about climate change as, the ice glaciers and the polar bears, but you don't hear about the effects of all the people of color who are dying right now from air pollution, asthma, cancer, that's affecting us the most. Honestly, even COVID is killing us more than everybody else. So there's no coincidence there whatsoever. And so it was so incredible to have a night. All of the stuff that I just mentioned is our pain. It's Black people's pain. It's our suffering. And so to have a night in Norfolk where we turn Black pain into Black joy, unbelievable. And not only that, we were able to share it in a way that teaches people who didn't know really what was going on. And man, it's exciting. I can't wait for the world to see it.
I could really use more time talking to each of you all. This has been so incredible to have the opportunity to have a conversation with you all about the incredible work that has been put into this film. It definitely demonstrates a labor of love and a labor of care and a labor of making sure that our people are given the information and the tools that they need to address the harms that are happening in their community. So as we close out, I want to hear from everyone. And I know I may be at time, but if we can close out with what's next for you in 10 seconds as you check out. And then I'll wrap us up and give a closing sentiment to everyone. I want to go around the room. Rev, you can have the last word on it. We'll do it like we did in the beginning. Malik, you can start. What's next for you? Or what's next for your community in 10 seconds, please.
Well, what's next for my community? Since they are trying to push us out, we will stand strong and we will stand sturdy and won't get knocked down and keep doing the work that we are continuing to do it and keep going on because we can't be stopped. We're resilient. So.
Oh, my next, what I'm literally doing next is I'm playing Aretha Franklin's mother in Genius Aretha, March 21st on Nat Geo. You guys, Aretha Franklin is a fellow artivist, was a fellow artivist, God rest her incredible soul. And you'll get to see a lot about what she did on, for our people in the show. So March 21st, Genius Aretha, and I can't wait to do more with Rev. We just getting started. Until our people are really free, because, we have some more liberties and freedoms since the civil rights era, obviously, but until we have clean air and clean water, until we are, healthy, and until, the system isn't attacking us and killing us, we got still a whole lot more to do. So we just get started.
All right, Aretha Franklin, I love it. Elijah, yes. 10 seconds.
Congrats on that Aretha piece. That's major. Yeah. Maybe I'll take just a bit more than 10 seconds. But the thing that was coming to my mind is I want to do more work. I mean, being Black, you inherently represent Black people. And in cinema, that's the utmost importance, like, because cinema is the highest of science and art. So, and like right now, I've got a project coming soon. I can't really talk about all the details, but it is a feature film project, fiction piece, and it's a pretty sizable project. So I'm just hoping everything goes according to plan. And once I can share more details, I'll share more details. But yeah, representation is everything. Representation is everything. Like without seeing people of color, Black people, women in front of the camera and behind the camera, like, I'm Black as a director, but most of our camera crew was pretty much either Black or Asian or Hispanic. So it's just like we had a pretty much diverse situation in front and behind the lens, which is critical because the majority of like the power decisions that are made in Hollywood and on the bigger front in the world are not people who look like us. And like
That's
weird
powerful.
thing,
That's so powerful. And I'm being told we gotta wrap up.
oh, okay. Yeah.
That's why I said we only got 10 seconds. I have so many more questions. I want to go deeper with everyone, but as we close, I want to hand it over to Reverend Yearwood to close us out with 10 seconds and what's next. Thank you so much, Elijah.
No
I
problem.
just want to say thank you, Elijah and the crew. Thank you for what you did here. I want to thank Mama D and Teams with a Purpose. I want to thank my sister, Antonique, my dear sister. I thank you for everything you've done, what you do. I want to thank you, Nakisha. I want to thank Mystic, who does Think 1% Films. Shout out to her, my brother Jarrell, who does a digital, Liz Hastad, ED for the caucus. So many more people I want to thank. Gayleen over down in Norfolk. I just got a whole list. But I want to thank two people, two jiggers in the end. One, I want to thank the folks in Georgia for helping us get that election so we can be where we're at today. Come on now, somebody. And I want to thank all the women, Latasha Brown and Stacey Abrams and all them. Yes. I want to thank also my Mama D in New Orleans who passed, and all those who died when the waters rose. Because I know we got no time. I'm gonna end on this. This ain't no game to me or to Hip Hop Caucus. Our people are dying, they drowning, and they got left behind in this country. This is not a game. We laugh just now. I hope you laugh, but it's time to work. If you're ready to work with us, please go to hiphopcaucus.org because we got work to do. And I always say, Anthony, ain't nobody free until everybody free. All power to the people.
And with that, y'all, that's a wrap. Thank you all so much for your time. Thank you for watching the film Ain't Your Mama's Heat Wave. Tell a friend to go tell a friend. And again, I'm Nakisa Glover, Think 100% organizer for Hip Hop Caucus. Thank you so much to all the panelists who have joined us today and everyone in front of and behind the camera on delivering such a wonderful, wonderful piece of art for us. Thank you and good night.